to part 2 of the yard sale house retail store build. Last time we left off, we were fixing the windows that I forgot to put around the rest of the house, as you can see here. And we're getting ready to head into the second bedroom. Now, I thought at first that like the color of this rug was gonna be my inspiration for the color scheme in this room. But then I found this bed and I love the color on this bed. And so it's not something that I typically choose as far as colors go, but everything just came to place in this room just so quickly. And I really love how it turned out with the teal and the purple and the pinks. And I feel like it's just so colorful. And I kind of envisioned this being the room for a teenager, but like maybe they just aged up to a teenager, or maybe it's a child who's getting ready to age up into a teenager, and they're at the point where they're starting to have more mature interests and hobbies, and they're putting away the toys, therefore that gives you the reason why there are some toys out front in the yard at this yard sale. But I really enjoyed decorating this room. I have been on this kick, as I'm sure so many other people have, of decorating rooms for teenagers ever since the high school pack came out. I've just been all about decorating teenager rooms, which is odd for me because I'm not big on playing gameplay with, first of all, not more than one sim, because I find it difficult to keep track of everybody and keep up with all of it. But I specifically don't like playing with teenagers and kids and toddlers. I find it very overwhelming for me. It's very frustrating. But I'm sure that will also change here in a couple weeks when we get this, the new pack, I think it's called Growing Together, which we're all calling it Generations because it reminds us of the Generations pack from Sims 3, the Generations update, which I never got to play, but I know of. I don't think I played Sims 3. I don't recall playing it. I think Sims 2 is the last one that I played before I bought all of the Sims 4 stuff. But I am excited about that because I'm excited about the new build and buy stuff and decorating for the infant life stage. And of course, I will play it and play with the infants and toddlers and children and teens just to get a sense of how things work, because I feel like it's important for building to actually do gameplay as well, so that you know how to interact with all these items, and it's just helpful so that when you do go play test your builds, that everything works well. Now, speaking of play testing, I do have that bed merged into the bookshelf. That area of the bookshelf, of course, does not work, but you've got the other one beside it. The bed does work. This purplish chair here in the corner, your sim cannot get to that. But everything else in this room works. And of course, like I mentioned in the first video, there are a couple things that I did have to completely change when I play tested. And I'll talk about those when we get to them. It's going to be in the primary bedroom and the ensuite bathroom for the primary bedroom. A couple small changes I needed to make in there, but they were minimal. It was routing issues. It was your sim just couldn't get around things, which was confusing at first because I couldn't figure out what it was that was blocking them. And then I moved things that I thought were blocking them, and I figured it out in the end. But we're starting to decorate the primary bedroom right now, and we'll talk about that when we get to those parts. I just made the ensuite bathroom a little bit bigger because I knew I wanted to change the layout, and threw in a closet there. Now, the color scheme in this bedroom, I absolutely hate it. I don't like yellow, and I don't like orange, and I don't like browns. So for me, this one was a struggle, but I wanted to try to do something different because I tend to decorate in various shades of blues or blacks and whites. And I need to try to get away from that, which the ensuite bathroom is also going to be black and white. You'll see that in a moment, but I don't know. I didn't feel like stepping out of my comfort zone for the bathroom, for the ensuite bathroom, but it matches the rest of the house. The touches of black here and there. But in future builds, I try not to use as much black. I'm trying to use more wood tones because that's another thing that I'm not good at, or not so much not good at, but like I don't tend to do or use various wood tones together. And when other people do it, it looks so nice. Now the little settee, laundry basket, and clothes that you just saw me place at the end of this bed, that I thought was what was causing a routing issue. So I did remove those, and I moved those shoes over onto the other side of the bed next to the closet. But what was causing a routing issue in actuality was the fact that I put a clock on the wall beside the door to the bathroom. And I don't know, I guess my Sim's big head couldn't make it past the clock, between the clock and the little settee that I put there. So I also removed that clock, and I'm going to throw a wall mirror on there. And like I said, you'll see all of these changes for this bedroom in the screenshots at the end, so that you'll know what it's going to look like if you do decide to download this house and play it in your game. As always, this house is on the gallery. My EA account ID is pyxiedusted, just like the YouTube channel. That's also my Twitter. That's also my Instagram. I used to stream on Twitch. I'm thinking about maybe streaming on Twitch again. Leave me a comment and let me know if you would be interested in watching me build on Twitch. I'm not sure. I don't think I'm the kind of person that would want to sit for hours watching somebody build. But I feel like I'm in the minority on that, because I know there are a lot of successful Twitch streamers that do builds on Twitch. So perhaps, I don't know. The wallpaper that I used in the ensuite bathroom here is from high school years. I don't use it very often because I'm not a fan of like the big, bold, printed wallpapers like that. But I felt like it really did look nice in here. I also really liked that little window moment that I did between the tub and the shower area that I built. I thought that was kind of cute. I don't know. I did have some issues getting to the tub in this bathroom, and I thought at first that that window was the issue. Also, I apologize if you can hear Discord going off in the background. I forgot to turn off Discord before I started recording this voiceover, and I'm not going to stop to turn off Discord. So we're just going to have to try to ignore it. But I've recently been trying to spend more time designing bathrooms, decorating bathrooms, and bathroom layouts in general, because I feel like I do the typical thing that most people do, where you throw in the shower tub combo on one side and you throw in the toilet and sink on the other side, and that's your bathroom. There you go. And I've seen so many people build these gorgeous, just intricate, very interesting bathrooms, especially with this new clutter pack that we got. And I want that. I want to be able to build these interesting bathrooms. So I'm trying. I'm trying to do some different things. Now, the next bathroom that we do, you'll see that it's same old bathroom. Also, you may have noticed the little lamps there that I used to mark where my counter was when I needed to move it for object placement. It's another one of the little tricks I use, and it's not something that I came up with. I saw Jessica Pye, who is one of my favorite Sims builders to watch. She used that. She uses that sometimes. Sometimes she uses the red shelf. But it's a great trick for playing on console because it lets me know exactly where that countertop is for me to manipulate objects and place them where they need to go. Now, the reason that the sim couldn't get to the tub, which I was talking about before, the routing issues in here, and I've done this so many times. I don't know why it was an issue in here. Maybe it's because I used some platforms on the house or whatever. But typically, if you put on just a tub, if you put things beside near the faucet area, they're fine because they get in from the other end of the tub. But for some reason, this little stool was blocking the sim being able to get into the tub. So what I did is I just deleted that laundry basket right there and moved the little stool over where the laundry basket is and the pile of towels underneath the stool and the tray of bath salts so that there's that gap right there between the bathtub and that little stool. So that helped them, that corrected the issue. I didn't have any problems with it after that. But like I said, it's so weird because I've done that in so many builds for my personal use, where I've got stuff just right up against the tub, right there on that side, and they have no problem getting out of the tub or getting into the tub, but they could not get to it this time. So I changed it. Another thing that I'm trying to remember to do, because I have a bad habit of it, I leave the little saucer lights in all the rooms and forget to add different light fixtures. And I'm trying to get out of that habit because number one, it's a little bit more interesting. And number two, the saucer lights do have a very bright, harsh light. There's that clock, that dang clock that my sim couldn't get their head past. So that clock got deleted. It'll be in the screenshots. You'll see it. I just stuck a wall mirror up there. Now, the only things we have left inside the house, this was going to be the second bathroom, and I decided to make it bigger so that I could also have a little laundry room. Now, I didn't want to add the laundry room into the bathroom, so what I did was I made it bigger, and I sectioned it off to where you walk in from the hallway into the laundry room, and then you continue on through the laundry room into the bathroom. I didn't put much in the laundry room other than the washing machine, the dryer, some shelves, and a couple hampers. But also I do have throughout the rest of the house in all the rooms. I don't think you saw this because it's one of the things that I went and did off camera, but I did add light switches in all the rooms, which I'm super excited about the rocker switches that we got in the clutter pack, but I'm also excited that we got light switches in base game now with the latest update. And I like the fact that we have just the regular toggle light switches as well as the rocker switches, because when we got the rocker switches, I was excited. I was excited that at the very least we've got light switches. But I like to also do decades builds. Like I have a 70s inspired house coming up and I want it to be accurate. So it's not going to have rocker switches. It's going to have toggle switches. Now that house is already built and up on the gallery and finished, so it doesn't have the light switches. But, you know, going forward, it's nice to have the option of the two different switches. Now, right here, I'm sizing down these little towel cubby shelves and merging them into the counter to hide these dishes that we're showing, because I don't know, I don't feel like anybody stores their dishes in the bathroom. I could be wrong. And if I am, I'm not judging you. But I didn't feel like in this house that would be appropriate. So I did that to hide those. You do have just a little bit of clipping on the top of that counter underneath those towels with the soap on top of it that I put there to try to hide that in the top. If it bothers you, get rid of it. But personally, the dishes in the bathroom bothered me more. I tried to make this bathroom more children inspired, more kid friendly, more like they had a hand in decorating this. And so I felt like the teal and red, maybe teal's their favorite color because they have a lot of teal going on in their bedroom too. But I feel like the parental figures in this house allowed them to just go wild with decorating this bathroom how they wanted it to be decorated. Which in hindsight, I probably should have maybe thrown like a guitar into the kid's bedroom, but there is at least a radio in there. So with the inside finished, we are going to finish up the outside. Now we're going to save the front yard for later. Right now we're going to do a little bit of landscaping out here, but this is where the action is. This is where the good stuff happens. This is where all of your yard sale items are. So we're going to save that for the very end. And like it's just a minimal amount of landscaping out front because I wanted a whole lot of the yard exposed for the yard sale. And also towards the end of the video, I'll go over the logistics of how you actually make this yard sale work as a retail store. In case you don't know, most people do know. Oh, wow. Even the little dog is excited about the yard sale. Also, though, when I swing around and start decorating the backyard, you'll get little sneak peeks of clutter out on the front yard because I went through off camera and pulled out all kinds of stuff that I wanted to put out for the yard sale. But this video would be like 2 hours long if I had left all that in. So I felt like that was probably not the best idea. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to watch a 2-hour video of decorating a yard sale. And I certainly wouldn't want to record a voiceover for 2 hours of decorating a yard sale. So the landscaping on the front, I wanted it to have somewhat of a manicured look. Because, I mean, you know, this is a business. Yeah, it's a yard sale, but this is a business. I wanted it to look nice-ish. And now we're going around and doing the terrain paint. One thing I've gotten a habit of with doing the terrain paint is layering it so that it's not all just that one flat color on terrain paint. So I'll start with the one that's kind of dirt, mud, grass mixed together. And then I'll go back through closer to any of the plants or trees or bushes that I've put down. And I'll put just like some actual mud colored, you know, closer up under there because it keeps it from looking so flat. That variation it gives it another layer of depth, or at least I think so. Now I knew I wanted a tree out front, but I also didn't want it like in the front yard, taking up space there, because of course that's where I wanted to put the yard sale objects. So we've moved on to the backyard. I placed fencing all around the backyard. This is an actual fence that will be recognized in gameplay, not like the debug fences because if you use the fence pieces, the debug fence pieces, they don't have colliders on them, which means that there's nothing that your Sims don't recognize it as an object. So they're going to walk right through it. And I felt like with this being a retail store, for gameplay, you might want to keep people out of the backyard. You might want to lock your front and back door so that nobody else can get in other than the Sims you've got on this lot playing. So that's why I went with an actual fence. I do use the live edit objects or debug fences quite often, simply because you can place them all the way on the edge of the lot. Whereas with the actual drawing of fences or housing, even with the moved objects cheat on, you still have to leave that one tile space between your fence and the edge of the property. So if I want to utilize absolutely every single tile to the edges of the property, I'll grab those debug fence pieces and build a fence so that I have, it gives me 2 to 4 extra tiles all the way around. I kept the backyard fairly simple. Feel free to add more going on back here, but I wasn't quite sure what exactly you would want in a backyard, because I feel like, the biggest majority of the gameplay is going to be focused on the retail store aspect. So I know every time that I've bought a retail store or a vet clinic or a restaurant, the majority of my gameplay every single day is tied up in making sure that business is running correctly, running well, and making a profit. So I don't know if you're going to have a whole lot of extra time for activities outside in the backyard, but there's also room back here to add more things. So I went with keeping it simple, with just a little outside dining area, a grill, a little mini fridge outside, because I figured, why not, you can crack open a cold one while you're grilling. And by that, of course, I mean juice, because we have juice bars in the Sims game. Those are our bars. And a few gardening planters, because gardening and painting, interestingly enough, are the 2 top favorite skill building activities that people seem to like to do in The Sims. I read it in an article somewhere. I don't even remember the article, but that was interesting to me, because those are 2 things that I don't enjoy having my Sim do, are painting and gardening, especially not gardening. I've never really liked the whole gardening aspect of the game. So we're out front now. All the junk has been pulled out from storage and the garage for this yard sale. And I'm trying to go around and give it some type of placement that makes sense for what you would do for a yard sale, when you just drag the stuff out and line the driveway with it and put it all over the yard. But I cut out a lot of this placement because it took quite a long time. So I've got bits and pieces of the progress. This is very early on in the process, as I'm moving things around and trying to figure out a layout to where it looks like you just drug stuff out and put it on the yard, but also at the same time, you've got enough room for the Sims to kind of walk around and navigate around things. Now, of course, there are some things that they're not going to be able to get to because you've got tables blocking them, or they've been rearranged using the move objects sheet, so they're too close to each other. But those are things that you'll figure out during gameplay, that you can move and make it to where they're accessible. I also took some of the larger items and blocked off the front of the garage, because in reality, you're going to have stuff in the garage that you don't want people to be able to get to during a yard sale, because it's not for sale. So that seemed very realistic to do that. You just saw me move it. You're going to see me move it again here in just a second. Cash register is the only item that you have to have that ticks the box for a retail lot requirement. A cash register can only be slotted onto a sales counter. I didn't want a sales counter in the front yard at my yard sale. So I sized down the sales counter after I had slotted the cash register on it and hid it between two different tables. The reason I used the two different tables to hide it was because the one table had the tablecloth, which was lovely for being able to completely hide that counter underneath but then the cash register was kind of floating about a foot above that table. So I merged in another table to kind of make it look like the cash register is not floating. I did do some gameplay with this retail store. None of the Sims that came to my retail store bought anything that day. They were all being looky-loos, and it was very frustrating. And I don't know if it's because the cash register does not work when the counter is sized down, or if it was because they were just being cheap and didn't want to buy anything from my yard sale. So if you have the same issue, if you play this a couple times and have noticed that no one is buying anything, delete those two tables and either resize that counter back up or delete that counter and reslot the cash register onto it, and you'll just have to have a sales counter. Now, when you go to gameplay, which is what you're seeing now, and you click on that icon to the far right, that little cash register icon at the bottom of the toolbar, that is how you change and manage all the kind of things for your retail store. If you don't have anything set for sale, you're going to get this little box that comes up that tells you you do not have any items set for sale. So what you have to do, and you do this in live mode, not in field mode, you go through and you click on items and you set them for sale. And we're going to show you that here in just a second. Now, specifically for the ease of being able to show you to go through and click on items to set them for sale, I put a little display here with some things on it. But when you download this from the gallery, that little display shelf is not going to be there with items on it. It will be the little table with a few things on it, like you're going to see in the screenshots. But then you go back and you click on the little cash register icon again at the bottom of the screen in the toolbox or the toolbar, and you click on open. You can also set your hours down there. You can hire employees. You can set their uniforms, all kinds of fun stuff. But we're getting ready to move on into the screenshots at this point. And like I said before, this is available on the gallery to download. If you would like to change it to residential, you can do that as well and just live here. But don't run away, because after those screenshots, we are going to give you a preview of the next build, so you're going to want to stick around for that. Thank you so much for watching the video. I really, really appreciate it. And until next time, bye.